Bitcoin is on everybody's lips this morning. Some people have been aware of this thing for a very, very long time. Some people are very skeptical about it, but I'll tell you one thing, there's some canny investors out there that are rubbing their hands together in glee at the minute as it starts to approach all-time highs. What's the big hullabaloo about Bitcoin this weather?
I don't think there's any particular factor that's driven it up. It's very volatile. I mean, people talk about 2 or 3 different factors, but you never know. I think when you talk about skepticism about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, there is justifiable skepticism, Rick, because first of all, you've got a currency, if you will, which isn't backed by anything other than computer code. Now, with the exception of things that are called stable coins, where they're actually backed by a particular government's currency and reserves. So there's a number of those around, but like Bitcoin, I mean, it's backed up by computer code. So it's not backed by gold. It's not backed by fiat, as they call it, real government money in the bank, etc. But then, neither is the Aussie dollar or the American dollar. It's backed by the government. But here, there's no government. There's no regulator, effectively. So that's quite a risk. It's always been perceived as such. The second risk is that you've got it. Let me explain. Bitcoin, all of this crypto stuff was set up essentially to defy the system and have a decentralized system. We don't want banks anymore. We don't want exchanges. We don't want government intervention. We don't want middlemen raking off a huge whack of every deal. We want to deal with each other directly. And by using what they call a distributed ledger, in other words, thousands of computers all linked together on the blockchain, as it's called, it is a way of recording things that can't really be tampered with, at least not as easily as hacking can occur otherwise. So everybody said, oh, this is going to be really safe because Rick and I can do a trade in cryptocurrency and nobody can interfere with it. And there's no Goodnick bank or exchange in the middle. Well, like most good plans, it went awry because the biggest things in the market that developed were crypto exchanges, which became, billion, trillion dollar things, and many of which went spectacularly broke and lost all the investors' money. So that is another big risk with it. And the third risk, of course, was that you're dealing with people you don't know, a lot of cowboys. Now, I'm sorry this is a bit long-winded, but the final point is this. I think what's driving things to a certain extent is that some very big investment houses, some very big wealth managers, I won't mention their names, but people that you see on TV all the time, let us manage your money, have started to introduce ETFs, exchange-traded funds, mutual funds, unit trusts, whatever you want to call them, where people can buy crypto. And that's a really big driver because that's eliminating all the gobbledygook and computer geek nonsense with wallets and code and stuff that you have to go through to own crypto. Here, you can buy a share in the exchange-traded fund the same as you can buy a share in an ETF that trades fertilizer or Rice Krispies. It's really uncomplicated. And it also eliminates the risk of dealing with all the cowboys and unlicensed crazy people, because these are big firms that are, not going to rip off their customers, at least not too much. And, you can feel safe. So I think that's probably one of the big drivers.
Roger, there's a danger at the minute that I can see with all investments. There's risk. Okay, there's risk with cash in the bank. There's risk if you invest in property. There's risk if you invest in stocks and shares. There's risk if you invest in cryptocurrency or even gold or precious metals. Everything can go up and everything can go down. But crypto in particular, I think the danger with this is, personally speaking, is a lot of people have no idea what it actually is, and you've done very well to outline it briefly how it operates, generally speaking. But a lot of people, I think, at the minute are hearing this name, Bitcoin. They're seeing a bandwagon. They're seeing something that's surging in price at the minute. And then there's that fear of missing out where people could start piling in at this point in time. And of course, it could go to $100,000 per Bitcoin. But then again, it could drop back to where it was last year, which is 20,000. And if you look at the cycle over the last 2 years, around about 2 years ago, it was sitting at this level. Then it dropped. It lost 2/3 of its value. And then it came back up astronomically. It's tripled in price. So it's a roller coaster out there. And I think it's fair to say, I used to work in the investment business myself, and there was an old slogan that we had, and it was, if you can see the bandwagon, it's too late to jump onto it. However, having said that, who knows where this thing can go? It's maybe that's the excitement factor too, don't you think? A lot of closet gamblers out there are saying, well, I want to roll the bones with cryptocurrency. Maybe it'll go to the moon, or maybe I'll end up in the gutter, but it gives them a bit of a rush investing in such a volatile vehicle, don't you think?
Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think you said it absolutely perfectly. That's exactly it. I think that in other words, these big firms, these big investment houses, they're not going to let this fail like it has been doing previously. So the volatility may reduce a bit, but the risk of the thing going, pear-shaped is probably less because they've got their own holdings in this stuff as well. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, as you've just said, they're going to take a lot of the upside for doing that, and you're not going to get quite the same Wild West overnight gains that you can. But hey, I mean, it's as you say, it's as good an investment as anything else. Maybe not quite, but it's as good as anything else in the sense that it can probably still go up more than other things which raise gradually.
Natalie, just bring you in this one. I know you like a little flutter on the sports betting. I don't know if you're a big crypto head or not, but is this talk of risk and big gains getting you slightly excited? Are you tempted to dip your toe in the crypto pool today?
No, I'm not, and I was really interested in what Roger's been saying, because it just has never appealed to me. It's too much like central bank digital currencies, everything being linked to the internet. I'm very cynical of everything all being in one place. But I can understand if other people want to do it. As you say, every investment has a risk. I did read an article saying they want to make it more accessible to casual investors. I think that I don't know what you also would agree, Roger, that we probably are going to see it increase for a while at least. And then maybe things will go wrong again. But I've seen a lot of people online for a while have had Bitcoin and crypto and been moaning that it hasn't been doing anything for years. So we shall see, Roger.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that the people who have been playing with it for years now are not the customers that these big wealth management firms and banks are looking for. They're looking for people like you, who say, I can't be bothered. This is all so complicated, but gee, if all I have to do is buy a share, like a share of anything else, that's fine. But you did, if I may pick you up, conflate crypto with CBDCs, central bank currencies, which is a completely different thing. I mean, CBDCs use the blockchain, but that's where the similarity with crypto ends. They're not the same thing. And a lot of people, particularly conspiracy theorists, with which, given our government here in the UK and the States and elsewhere, I'm deluged with these more and more every day. These people say that central bank digital currencies will take over our lives, and you'll get a text saying, no, Natalie, you can't have that. You had a handbag last month. Use the one you've got, and they'll be controlling us. That's the danger with CBDCs. The danger with crypto, before these big guys took over the market, or a big part of it, is that you'd have a Sam Bankman-Fried, and you'd have a huge part of your savings in multi-gazillion dollar fund, and then all of a sudden the next day it was swimming with the crayfish in the Bahamas.
Yeah, it's an
thank you for
incredible
explaining it properly.
Yeah, I think that in a nutshell, CBDCs are centralized. Crypto, by their design, are supposed to be decentralized, although they use the same types of platform. But then again, listen, it's not always going to be a Ron Seal product. We call it here. You know that Ron Seal wood still, where it says it does exactly what it says on the tin. So time will tell if crypto is in fact a Ron Seal product, or if it is in bed, at least at the other side of the bed with the CBDCs. But time will tell.